All right, I feel like a teacher today because I have actually two computer screens in front of me. We're going to talk about some different things today. I have had some comments asking specific questions, which I love, and I feel like there are some things I want to talk about that sort of go together. In my mind, these are all things that help you plan for and get ready for your Disney cruise vacation. So I am just going to kind of go through, let's talk about three different things. So I want to talk about how I get excited for a Disney cruise vacation. If you're finding yourself a little bit nervous or wanting to learn more, we'll talk about that later on. The things that I do, really it's like one or two things that I do to like sort of get in the Disney cruise zone. I had some comments asking specifically about my Disney cruise book, and we'll go through that, and that'll be like a screen recording with a voiceover portion of this video. And then we're going to talk about budgeting, which will also be like a screen recording, because I have those things on my computer and I want to show you. I don't want to just talk about it, I want to actually show you. So we're going to talk about three different things, and in my mind they all go together. You know, they're all helping you prepare for your Disney cruise. These are things you have to do before you go. It's impossible to do it once you arrive at the port. So these are things that I like to do in the days, weeks, months leading up to my Disney cruise vacation. This is not like booking activities. I don't even think I have a screen recording of booking activities, but I do want to talk about my Disney cruise book. I have talked about it, mentioned it before, and so somebody asked if I could go through that, and we'll do that first, and then we'll go through how I create a budget, and then at the end I'll tell you, we'll come back here and we'll talk together about how I get excited for a Disney cruise vacation. It's pretty simple, but it's something I want to share with you guys. So if you hear me drinking throughout the voiceover portion, it's because I have tea, because it's helping me up my water intake. I have been having like 64 ounces of hot tea every day, which is getting me absolutely wired with caffeine, but I don't mind because I'm so hydrated. And honestly, my skin has never been better. I don't know if it has anything to do with the tea or the water or whatever, but I love it. So if I'm drinking, that's why. Also, it helps me when I'm talking, and I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. So let's switch over to the screen recording portion. So I have pulled up Canva, which is where I have created this document. Now this is the one, actually it's a modified version of the one that I made for our Panama Canal cruise in 2021. I like to make something like this for every cruise that we go on. So this is our cover page. I like to have it very clearly marked what cruise this is and the sailing dates. Also note the ship name, so that's the ship that we're going to be on. Since this was a very maritime cruise, I put that right here in this line right here, very maritime. It was also a Panama Canal cruise. So that's my cover page. I have made this in Word before, but I think it works better for Canva. Canva is free. There are some features on Canva that you can pay for the premium membership. Adam actually introduced me to Canva when I started my YouTube channel, Adam Legg. So I'm grateful to him for that because I use it all the time. I use Canva to make all my thumbnails, but anyway, it's very helpful for this because I can just download the file. It downloads, since I've got multiple pages, it downloads as a zip file. I unzip it, take everything out, and it's really easy to put it in a Word document so that I can print it. So after the cover page, I go into my trip itinerary, and this is just sort of an at a glance of the different days we've got. So I've got day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and since this was a longer cruise, I go all the way through day 16 because we did fly out the day before and then flying home. So to me, it was a long cruise. The next page is just an overview of our cruise information. Dates of travel, again, because pretty sure, yeah, I have the dates of travel on the cover page, but going back down to cruise information, I like to have it here. If we have a flight, if we've got a taxi reservation or like a shuttle service or something that we've booked, I'll put that on this page. Our port arrival time, our boarding group. I also like to put the details of our stateroom, which room we purchased, in the off chance that we are sent to our stateroom and it's the wrong kind of room, which is highly unlikely. I also like to put the stateroom number that we have purchased. Sometimes you'll have a guaranteed stateroom and so you won't know. So I just leave that blank and I leave a space for me to write that in. I have gotten rid of our confirmation number, but I like to put like the cruise reservation number right here. I've also gotten rid of our price that we paid just because I don't think that's information you guys need. On our Panama Canal cruise, we were actually refunded $40. We had a port that was changed to a sea day. So we were supposed to go to Grand Cayman for a port day, and they actually canceled Grand Cayman and we were refunded $40. And I can only assume that those were refunded port fees. So we were refunded $40, and I just like to keep track of that kind of thing. Some of the information that is in this cruise book is information that I use on the cruise, and some of this information is information that I will use and keep track of later on. After we get back from the cruise, I will compare information from previous cruises that I have in previous cruise books. So like the price of the cruise, I think always helps me to see like trends and prices. And then like I like to keep track of the date that we were able to start booking activities, when we checked in for the cruise. This is our Castaway Club level, whoops, right here. And then our flight information for returning home. And I could put the flight information together, but I thought this made sense to put at the end because it is at the end of our vacation. And then I have a page for each day of the sailing. I've gotten rid of a whole bunch of them because we don't need to go through all 14 days, but I'm going to show you my embarkation day pages and every other day of the cruise. But first, let's start with our travel day. Now, this is not actually a part of the cruise, but for this particular cruise, we had a travel day before embarkation. I always suggest traveling to your embarkation port the day before instead of the day of, just because, especially nowadays, anything could happen. Lots of things could go wrong. I always like to be at the port the day before just to make sure that I'm there before the ship leaves. So this was our travel day. We actually flew out Thursday evening and arrived in San Diego Thursday evening. So this was right here. I put the time that I wanted to leave for the port, or leave for the airport. This was our flight number and time. This was our hotel reservation, the address of the hotel that we had a reservation at that night. I like to keep track of how much our taxi cost, and we actually used an Uber instead of a taxi because I priced it out when I got there and it was much cheaper to do Uber. Maybe it was Lyft, I don't know. But either way, we did a rideshare service for that. We didn't have dinner that night because everything in San Diego was actually closed, and that was a part of the vlog that I cut out. I had a little bit of a rant because there was nowhere for us to eat when we got into San Diego. We landed, I think, 7:30, so we had our bags. We were at our hotel by 8:30, but there was no place for us to eat. So we were just very, very hungry that night. And then we are able to carry on 2 bottles of wine per person, well, per adult. And there's a wine shop in San Diego that I really wanted to take Mom to, but like I said, everything was closed, so we ran out of time. So we didn't get to go to that wine shop, but that was our travel day. And so you can see from this page, I guess I'll go back. Yeah, you can see from this page, this is sort of like a diary and also an activity log, and that's sort of how I like to have my cruise book work. Day 2 was actually our embarkation day, and our embarkation day pages in our book took up 2 pages just because there's a lot going on embarkation day. I like to keep track of our port arrival time. Again, this is a repeat. We've already put this in the book, but I'm going to put it here again. Our boarding group, stateroom number. I like to keep track of the weather because it helps me plan future cruises if I know what port and the weather. I know you can Google it, but I like to keep track of it in my book. Again, it's like a diary. The muster station for our emergency drill. I like to keep track of the time the ship actually left port. I think usually the ship leaves around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes it's later, and sometimes they will even tell you why. I also like to write the name of our cruise director and the name of our ship captain in the book, just to keep track of it. And then on the next page, I have the theater show, which is not always a show performed by the Walt Disney Theater cast. Sometimes it's a variety act, but I like to keep track of who performed on our cruise. The dining time we selected, the dining attire, whether or not it was cruise casual or formal or pirate or whatever. I'll keep track of that here. And then the menu, because this is totally a different topic and maybe a topic for a different video some other time, but I like to keep track of the dining menus. They have 2 rotational menus and then lots and lots of specialty menus, and on the 14-night cruise you get a lot of specialty menus because the rotational menus, there's 2 for each restaurant, so that's 6 nights. So then you have 8 nights taken up by specialty menus, but then one of them is the pirate night menu, so then you have 7 menus that are like one-offs. So every restaurant serves the same menu on 7 nights, 8 nights of the cruise. And so I like to keep track of that in this book. Dining location is where we ate, the name of our stateroom host, the name of our server, the name of our assistant server, and the name of our head server. I like to keep those written down there, and I will even write their country, or I will have them, sign their name and write their country in my book. It always makes them feel special because they're in one of my cruise souvenirs. And then this is a sea day page. So I've gotten rid of a bunch of other pages. I'll show you a sea day page and then a port day page. But on a sea day, I like to write the weather, the activities that we did that day. I like to think of a special cast member. Who made our day special today? Just because it helps me practice gratitude during my vacation, and it also helps me remember their names and who was on our cruise, and their names come into play later on in the vacation. Again, the theater show, dining attire, the menu, and the location. Some of the information, like on this previous page, our dining time is the same every night, so I only put that on the first day. But on this one, I like to have the menu because the menu changes every night. Here is a port day, not a sea day. This one was a sea day. Here's a port day. So this one is similar, except I have the all ashore time and the all aboard time spots, just because it helps me figure out how long generally a port day is. Sometimes port days are longer, depending on where you're going to go the next day. Sometimes port days are shorter. So knowing how long typically a port day is helps me plan my cruise day, especially when I'm planning future cruises, using this cruise book as a reference while planning the next cruise. I hope that makes sense. So the rest of the port day page is the same. This is an exact replica of what my Panama Canal transit day page in my diary looked like. So we entered the locks, and then we cleared the locks, the weather, and then the rest of the day is the same. So here we've got the all ashore, all aboard time. Here we've got the times that we entered the locks and cleared the locks. And then this is the debarkation page. So I've got our breakfast time and location, the time we actually disembarked the ship, the time we spent in customs. Sometimes it's longer. I had an experience in Galveston in 2019 where I spent 3 hours in the line trying to get through customs, and I missed our shuttle time. It was a nightmare. Sometimes it's very, very short and it takes you 5 minutes. So I like to keep track of that. And then the taxi cost. We actually had a shuttle that we pre-purchased when we got off of the ship in Galveston. We had to purchase a shuttle ticket to take us to the airport in Houston. I think what we paid was $30 per person, I think is what we paid. We used Galveston Limousine, and I totally recommend them. They were wonderful. And then this is our flight home information. Some other pages that I have in addition to my daily pages. I like to write thank you cards to everyone on the ship that made our cruise special. That generally includes the captain, the cruise director, the assistant cruise director if we have one, the server in the dining room, the assistant server, and the head server, our stateroom host, our Palo server if we go to Palo. If there's someone from guest services or the entire guest services team that did an exceptional job, we'll write a thank you to them. Sometimes I will write a thank you note to the entire entertainment cast, and I just drop that off at guest services, and I assume it gets delivered to them. Sometimes if we special order food at dinner, like Indian food maybe, I will write a special thank you note to the head chef in that restaurant or all of the restaurants to express my appreciation for them and for their hard work. Also some bartenders, especially like beverage seminar hosts, I like to write thank yous for, baristas in the Cove Cafe. And then we actually went on a couple of Panama Canal cruises that had a special guest speaker on the ship. His name was Captain Puckett, and he did lectures every sea day on, the history of the Panama Canal, and so I wrote him a thank you note. He was not on our previous cruise, or our most recent cruise, so that was not important then, but, that didn't get used. But I like to write their names here, and then since this is a page for me, I will even, mark out like how much additional cash tip I want to give to some of these people. Because you can always, like, your server and assistant server, head server, and stateroom host are the 4 people who get tips from you every single day, and that is charged to you sometime throughout your cruise. But the bartenders and your baristas only get tipped what you choose to give them at the end of your bill. Like, you buy a coffee and you tip them $1 or $2. So I like to maybe write them a thank you note, maybe slip some extra cash in there for them. And then sometimes they will share special ship statistics. Especially on our most recent cruise, they told us how many people, how many Platinum Castaway Club members, how many gold, how many silver, how many kids. Sometimes they'll even tell you how much the Panama Canal transit cost Disney Cruise Line, because it is an expensive transit. So I like to write the ship statistics there just because I think it's interesting information. Moving on, we're going to go to the special cast members page. Now this is different from my thank you page. I will go back to one of my sea day. Here we've got the cast member spotlight. So this is where I try to think of a cast member who has made my day special. So if I go down to this special cast member page, this is where I will write their names, and I like to tear this page out after I have written their names on it, and then I will fold this page inside of the survey that you get at the end of the cruise. And so there's more space on this one. So I like to write their names and their country and their area of work on the ship. So I'm thinking like Mark from Jamaica on the pool deck, just so that they know who exactly I'm talking about, because I want the special cast members to get the recognition that they deserve. And in my opinion, there is not enough space on the trifold survey page to make sure that they get enough recognition. So I like to do this for them. Sometimes I will print this page out twice. So I will make 2 copies, and then I get to keep one for my souvenir. And so typically I will have this in the document twice. Next, I have my embarkation to-do list and my onboard to-do list. These are not the same thing. My onboard to-do list, these are things I don't want to forget about doing on the ship. There are so many activities when you get on the ship that you might forget, oh, I want to go to the main dining room for lunch one day, typically a C day. But anyway, I like to put these things on a list just because I don't want to forget and then get home and think, oh man, I totally forgot that there is, you know, a cake of the day that you can order from room service. So having this list in my book helps me, because if I'm ever bored, I can always go to this list and think, is there something that I can do right now that would check something off that I can say, I'm so glad I did that. My embarkation to-do list is different. This will include things like applying gift cards or rewards cards to my onboard account. This will include things like trying to get on the wait list for Palo Brunch or for Beverage Seminar. So those are things that I like to put on my embarkation to-do list, because those are things that I want to get done first, because the longer you wait, the lower the chances that you're actually going to get what you want. So that's my embarkation to-do list. Typically, it's never this long, but there are some things like applying gift cards to your account that you just can't do before you get on the ship. So I like to have that list so I don't forget. I do have a page for suggestions for the cruise line. This is another one that I will tear out and fold into my survey at the end of the cruise if I have a bunch of suggestions. I actually haven't done this recently, partly because it doesn't feel like Disney Cruise Line is listening to us, and partly because I just don't think that any suggestions will be taken seriously right now because of the way the world is. And so I don't want to waste my time complaining about things like bring back the popcorn bucket, because they can't, you know? So I know that they want to do that, so I'm not gonna, you know, have a suggestions page sailing right now, but I did print it out just in case, and I didn't use it on the most recent cruise. And this is the page that I think people are going to find the most interesting. This is my anticipated expenses page. This is something that I will make weeks or months in advance so that we can start budgeting for our cruise. So on this page, this is a screenshot of a Microsoft Excel worksheet that I have created. It's really easy. You can do it in about 25-30 minutes. But I like to have this in here just because it helps me get a picture of what our onboard account is going to look like as we go through our cruise. So on the left, I have our anticipated expenses, but on the right, I have some other things broken down. Like on the left, right here, you can see onboard tips. Over here, I've got that cost broken down. Up here, I have our beverage seminars cost broken down. So let's go into our budget. Well, let's go back one time. Okay, so that is the end of my cruise book. Like I said, I've got this in Canva, and so it's really easy to find graphics for it. I will change the colors. This was red and green because it was a very maritime cruise. For other cruises, I might go with gold and navy because those are Disney Cruise Line colors. So that is an overview of what my cruise book looks like. I do try to keep track of onboard credit that we might have. I guess we did start with a credit balance. We had some onboard credit because of the cancellation policy, and we were given some money by Disney because they had canceled our cruise. It doesn't matter, but we did start with some onboard credit. I've deleted that information here, and then Disney rewards dollars from my Disney Visa. I put that amount here because, again, that helped me with our anticipated expenses. So now let's go into our budget, because I want to talk to you about our budget sheet. So I like to have 3 different sections of my budget sheet. This one looks slightly different than the one that you saw on the previous page. It doesn't matter. This one's on my MacBook. The other one I made on my PC in Excel. This one is in numbers, so it doesn't really matter. On the left in this orange section over here, these are all beverage seminars. So cognac, bourbon, whiskey, rum, mixology, martini, mojito and caipirinha, wine, tequila margarita, champagne, and chocolate and liqueur. next to them I have their associated prices, and you can find these, I think, in the booking of the seminar, like when you book a cruise and then you are able to book activities, you can see the price when you book them. So let's say that Mom and I are going to go on a cruise and we're going to be gone for a week. So we want to book maybe 3 or 4 beverage seminars. This one is one that I want to do, so I will say equals this times 2. And then if I want to do, let's say, all of them, oops, and this one equals sum, and then you click and drag. So if we were going to do all of these beverage seminars, it would be $612. It's not very often that we get to do all of these, okay? And if we're going to do a 7-night cruise, there is no way that we're going to get to do all of these. There's just too many, and we only want to do 1 maybe per day. So anyway, this is the tool that I use to help me budget for these activities. Because if you get on the cruise thinking that you've paid for everything and then you book all of these activities, that adds up really quickly. Imagine having this number added to your cruise total and not having a clue before you go. Like, that is sticker shock right there. Panic mode engaged immediately. So this is something I like to budget for, and I will always go overboard on my budget. So if I think we're going to do 4 seminars, I will budget for 5 or 6. Just because I want to add a little cushion to my budget, because it always helps me. I would rather have budgeted for too much than not saved enough or not planned enough. Next, let's talk about onboard tips. This is true for every passenger on every cruise for every day, okay? Every day that you are on board, you will incur tips for 4 cast members, okay? So you've got your server, your assistant server, and your head server in the dining room. You will also have your stateroom host. So server gets $4.50, your assistant server gets $3.50, your head server gets $1, and your stateroom host gets $4.50 every single day on the cruise. So let's say that you and your best friend are going on a Disney cruise for 4 nights. You will take $4.50 plus $3.50 plus $1 plus $4.50, which equals $13.50, and then you will multiply $13.50 by 4 nights by 2 people. So just for a 4-night cruise, this is what your stateroom will incur in tips only. You can always add more. If you think that they didn't earn it, you can go to guest services and request to pay less. I always think that they earn their tips, and we almost always add more. Even if we don't add more to like the onboard account for tips, we will give them cash instead. So this, to me, this $13.50 is the bare minimum. So now that we've got our seminar cost and our onboard tip cost, let's go over to our green part of the sheet. So here I've done some different math. Let's change this to 4 days. So this is going to be this number over here that we came up with, okay? So we've got $13.50, which is your tip cost per person per day. You've got 4 days times 2 passengers equals $108. We've got our souvenir budget, which is going to come from over here. You go equals, and then you click enter. Palo is $45 minimum times 2 people, and let's say you want to do 2 meals times 2. And then you want to add a tip to Palo. A lot of people ask what you add to a tip to Palo. I usually do start at 20%, so I will go that sum times 1.2, which is 20% on top of the actual cost. So then over here equals 45 times 2 times 2 times 1.2 equals $216 if you're going to have 2 meals at Palo and include a generous tip. Now we've got our Cove Cafe coffee budget. Typically, coffees in Cove Cafe are between $4 and $6. So I'm budgeting $7 because I know you're going to add a little bit of a tip. You might add more, you might go $8, but I'll start at $7 because the coffees that I usually purchase are right at $5. So we've got 2 people who are going to drink coffee from Cove Cafe every day. They're going to have 1 coffee every day. So we've got $7, equals $7 times 7 days times 2 people equals $98. So that's $100 on coffee for 2 people. Next are your port adventures. The prices on these vary. It might, let's just say $75 per person. And let's just say you've got 2 ports. Some port adventures are cheaper than others. If you're at Castaway Key and you rent the bicycle, I think it's $12. It's really cheap. It's not much. But $75 for like St. Thomas or Cozumel is generally about right. Sometimes it's $45, sometimes it's $145. But for this scenario, we're going to use $75 per person equals 75 times 2. And then you've got 2 people. So 2 people. That's $300 just in port adventures. Then you've got your seminar cost. So we've got, equals, we've already done this math. So it equals this cell over here. Then you've got your bingo cost. Now, off the top of my head, I've got to be honest, I don't know how much this is. I'm going to say, let's budget, sort of like gambling. Let's just say you've budgeted $100 for bingo. So we'll just put that in here. The photo package. I think it depends on the length of your cruise. It also depends on what photo package you purchase. If you pre-order, you do get a discount. So what you do, and I have talked about this in a previous video, but I'll talk about it again. If you go to your Disney Cruise Line website, you log in, you go to My Plans, and then you book an activity before you go. I think it's onboard activities, and it'll have like a photo package. Only book it for 1 person. If you try to book it for everyone in your stateroom, it's not going to work, but if you book it for 1 person, you will get to use that photo package for everyone in your stateroom for the whole cruise. So I would suggest just doing the unlimited photo package because I think it's a much better deal. If you're going to get a lot of pictures taken, just do the unlimited photo package. We'll say that it's $300 on pre-order or $400 regular price. Like if you buy it on the ship, it's always going to be more expensive. So we'll budget $300 for the photo package. And then laundry. You might also have like a taxi or a shuttle, and that could be $15 to $45 depending on how far you're going. It also kind of depends on what kind of service you're looking for. But let's go back to laundry. We're going to talk laundry. I think it's about $6 per load of laundry if you wash it yourself on Disney Cruise Line. So let's say we're going to do 2 loads of laundry, so that's 6 times 2 is $12. And then we'll say that this is $30. So here, let's make our budget equals sum, click and drag, enter. All right, this number, in this cell right here can be really scary okay? That's $2,400 above what you've already paid for your cruise fare. Can you budget, or can you cruise on a budget without paying $2,400 extra? Of course you can. You can go through and say, well, we don't need to do all of those beverage seminars. So you get rid of some of those or all of those. That takes you down to $1,700. It's so much better than $2,400. But then you're thinking, oh, wait a second. I made a mistake. Okay, how many of you caught that? Souvenir budget, not beverage seminars. My goodness. Well, I don't want to refilm that, so we'll just go back. Let's go back to the screen recording. So over here is where I made a mistake, souvenir budget. Now, you never know what you're gonna find on the cruise. Maybe you think you'll buy some fine jewelry. This might include your budget for like jewelry imports. This might include your budget for tacky t-shirts or Christmas ornaments. Souvenir budgets are very personal. I always like to set a limit for myself. Typically my limit is about $200 just because Disney stuff is expensive. Sometimes if it's a special cruise, like I'm celebrating something like a birthday or a graduation, I will set my budget at a little bit higher. But I think setting a souvenir budget just to know how much you can plan to spend always helps. So let's set our souvenir budget at $200 and then go back down to our total. Our total is at $1,976. That's so much better than $2,400. I was so confused. Okay, still, that's $2,000 over what you've already paid, right? That can be really scary. And when you don't make a budget for your cruise, it's terrifying. You get to the end of your cruise and you get your folio, your cruise folio, which is basically your onboard account and a summary of all of your charges. It's really scary if you don't know what to expect. And if you don't budget for it, you may think, we can never afford to do this again. So this always helps me. It gives me a little bit of a panic attack before I sail, knowing how much money we're going to spend while we're on board. But I also know that some of these things may not happen. For example, our Palo charges are going to be less because we do get one free meal at Palo. That saves us $90. We're still going to tip as if we paid for the meal, okay? Our coffee budget, we can always order room service coffee, which is like a really nice thermos of coffee that comes to your stateroom, and it's delivered to you and you don't have to go anywhere. And I think it's much better than the coffee that you get in cabanas. So that can save you some money because room service is included in your cruise fare. We always save money by not going on port adventures. We used to do them a lot when I was a kid, when we first started sailing with Disney 12 years ago. And then we just kind of got to the point where we wanted to be on the ship. And so now we save ourselves a lot of money by not doing port adventures in every port. And it's kind of nice. We don't do bingo. We don't bingo. We don't gamble. We don't buy bingo packages. I think we've done it once or twice. And I just think that I would prefer to spend my time on the ship in another way. So that's another way we save money. If you are going to get your picture taken, if you want nice family portraits, if you want like a Christmas card photo taken, if you know that it's a specialty cruise and like a Star Wars Day at Sea cruise and you're gonna have a really cool costume, maybe think about ordering the photo package. And if you're going to do the photo package, try to decide that before you sail and book it before you go. It saves you money. It's a discount. Disney doesn't do discounts very often. Laundry, I think, is sort of a necessary expense sometimes, because if you have really, really grimy clothes, like I know we were on a cruise to, I think it was a transatlantic cruise, and my sister and I did a horseback riding experience. When we got back to the ship, we smelled like horse, and our clothes smelled like horse, and it was necessary to wash our clothes so that the whole stateroom did not smell like horse. You may be thinking, that's dumb, don't do laundry on a cruise. On a 3-night, I wouldn't do it. On a 4-night, I wouldn't do it. Sometimes on a 7-night, I won't do it because if I'm on a 7-night cruise, it's probably out of Port Canaveral and I live right here and it's, you know, a quick drive for me. So it's not something that I would worry about on a 7-night cruise because I'll be home very soon, you know? Anyway, but if you have really grimy clothes, budgeting for laundry, and it's $12, you know, that's not gonna like wreck your budget. So that's how I budget for a Disney cruise. And then I will screenshot this and I will put it in my anticipated expenses page on my cruise book. And then I will print out my cruise book. Here it is. And I put mine inside this like thing that they sent us. So this was our like card thing that they sent us our luggage tags in. Yeah, our luggage tags came to us inside this flap here. I also will keep my luggage tags in my cruise book with like a paper clip and any other important documents like the QR code that you have to scan now. Anyway, cruise book, I suggest making something similar, having a cruise diary. You don't have to make something like this. This takes time, okay? This cruise book, the budget page is quick and easy. The cruise book took me a long time. And now if I want to make another one, it's pretty easy because I have the template. I just change the dates around and stuff. But you could just have like a notebook or a diary or a planner or, you know, like a bullet journal. And you could just use that for the same purpose. But for me, it's important to have something with paper in it that I can put the important documents, the important information, the details I want to remember, that I can use sort of as like a scrapbook slash diary slash planner slash pertinent information folder. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I've talked long enough that now it's cold. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the things that I do that get me excited and prepared for my vacation. And really it's only one thing. I watch cruise vlogs. Now I have loved Disney cruising since 2010. I have been watching cruise vlogs for maybe 5 or 6 years. I don't think I started until we moved to Florida, but watching cruise vlogs is so much fun. And I cannot believe that I now have a cruise vlog series. I never thought that that was going to be me. When I started this channel, I wanted to talk about Disney cruising. I never thought I would do a cruise vlog series just because, I don't know, it looks like it would be distracting and disruptive of your vacation. But I was able to find a balance between vlogging and actually having a vacation on our Panama Canal cruise, and I enjoyed that. And now I love having those videos to go back and relive the whole experience, because sometimes there are details that you forget, and having a video, like a video diary. So I have this, but now I have video of our cruises. And so I would suggest taking a camera, and even if you don't have a YouTube channel, make home videos. You don't have to introduce yourself. You can just like vlog your experience and like take videos and pictures. Take lots of pictures. You can never have too many pictures. Take them all. And never stop to think, oh, I won't use this. You might. Just take a picture. Anyway, I want to talk about cruise vlogs because I have some favorites. There are so many cruise vlog series out there, and some are so good that it feels like you're there with them. And I have created a playlist, and I try to keep this playlist updated. I think it's been a while since I've updated it because I haven't watched cruise vlogs in a while because I went on one recently. So before that, I was avoiding cruise vlogs because nobody could sail and I didn't want to watch them because it made me jealous. But now I'm ready to watch some cruise vlogs again, and I want to share my cruise vlog favorites playlist with you. So I have this playlist on YouTube, and I think I can make it public so that you can see all of the cruise vlogs that I like to watch to get ready for a cruise. They're not mine. I made this playlist years ago. I made it for my mom because she really wanted to go on a cruise, and I think that it was, you know, like a year or so away before she would be able to go on another one. And so I made her this cruise vlog playlist that we would just play on the TV instead of cable TV, because at the time we had cable. So we would play it in place of a movie or in place of a TV show, and it kind of, you know, filled that void for us. So if you're suffering from cruise withdrawal, I would suggest watching Disney Cruise Vlogs, and I'm going to link my playlist of my favorite Disney Cruise vlogs. Maybe at the end of the video I'll add that playlist, but I am going to make it public, so you should be able to find it on my channel. I try to keep the vlog series together, so like, let's say Leg Life and our Z-Roll, I don't want to have them scattered throughout. I want to have like all of the Leg Life 5-night Mexico cruise and all of the Our Z-Roll 7-night Very Maritime cruise out of Galveston. I want to have those cruise series together within the playlist. If you have any favorite cruise vloggers, any favorite cruise series, let me know, because I will watch them and maybe add them to my cruise playlist. But that is my favorite thing to do to get ready for a Disney cruise. I do lots and lots of, you know, like research, and I will call Disney Cruise Line and I'll book my activities, but that's how watching cruise vlogs is how I get excited for them. So I think I've talked for long enough. I think you're probably sick of me and my throat is starting to hurt. So I'm going to end this video here. I hope this was helpful. I really hope that this is what you wanted it to be. I think that this is how I wanted to make it, but that's gonna be it for today, and you guys will see me in another video really, really soon. Bye.